Peace and love, everyone. Today we want to talk about the children of Israel and how they correlate to the astrological constellations in the Bible. Now, when we look at the word Israel, we actually can break this word down and we get a deeper meaning of what is actually being conveyed. So when we look at is short for Isis, Ra, Amun-Ra, Elohim. Okay, so this is Isis, and Isis represents the moon principle, or femininity, or the negative charge energy, and then you have Ra, which is the sun, and this is representing the masculine energy, okay, and then you have short for Elohim, and Elohim is made up of the 7 Elohas. And the 7 Elohas are the 7 ruling planets in ancient astrology, the 7 most inner planets that correlates with the days of the week, that the sun rules Sunday, okay, the moon rules Monday, okay, Mars rules Tuesday, Mercury rules Wednesday, Jupiter rules Thursday, Venus rules Friday, and Saturn rules Saturday. So these are the 7 Elohas, or 7 Elohim, that rules the 7 days of the week, the 7 days of the month, and the 7 days of the year. That completes the 7-day cycle, because there's only 7 days in a month, 7 days in a year, 7 days in a week, because the cycle continues and repeats itself. So these 7 lords rule the 7 days, and they actually influence the different constellations. Now, the 12 tribes of Israel are actually symbolic of the constellations, and they are the sons of Yaqub, okay, and Yaqub is who you would call today's time in English Jacob. He inherited his inheritance through his father Isaac, and Isaac through Abraham. So, and we'll get more into those in a later discussion, but these 12 sons, okay, represents the 12 constellations, and Yaqub, his 12 sons, his firstborn was Reuben, okay, and on the ascendant house ruler, this is where Reuben would have been the first house, though, the first sign. So you actually have Taurus as the first sign, first house, and that's represented by the Reuben constellation. And this is all stemming from Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8. I'm going to read that really quick to give you some context. It says, when the Most High divided the nations to that, I'm going to read over. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the children of men, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Okay, so he divided the nations up by these 12 children, okay, the 12 tribes, which is the 12 constellations. So we have Reuben as the firstborn, okay, the primogeniture in law, and he is represented by Taurus. So as we continue and follow out to complete the wheel and put in the signs, we have Gemini and Simeon. Okay, you have Cancer and Levi. Okay, and Simeon and Levi were considered the brothers, the 2 closest brothers, and Levi was considered the priest, the Cancer. But we'll get more into that in another video. Right now, just doing an introduction. Judah was the Leo. Zebulon was the Virgo. Okay. Issachar was Libra. Dan was Scorpio. Okay. And Gad was Sagittarius. Asher was Capricorn. Nefertari was Aquarius. Yusuf was Pisces. And Benjamin was Aries. Okay, so these are your 12 constellations and signs. Okay, so now when you look at these signs, you can see that this will be different in modern astrology, where you have Aries on the first house. You actually have Taurus on the first house because he's the firstborn of the ascendant. So then we follow out, and when you look at Genesis 1, okay, Genesis chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 1 through 5 to give you some context. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So here we see that there's a distinction being made between the light that rules the day and the light that rules the night. So when we look at the day ruler light, we're looking at the sun. And when we look at the nighttime ruler of light, we're looking at the moon. Now, when you look at these two planets or stars, you're looking at the sun ruling over the tribe of Judah, Leo, and the sun is taking on a masculine charge. This is the king of the planets. And then you have to have a queen if you're a king, and that will be represented by the moon, okay? The feminine planet. So when we look at the rulership of these two, both of them split the day. There's 24 hours in a day, so both of them share 12 hours to rule, and that fluctuates throughout the seasons. But then when you look at the sun needs a person to help him rule the kingdom. So the closest person to the sun would be Mercury, okay? And the next in line to help would be Venus. And after that, I'm going to erase this. After that, you would have Mars. And after that, you would have Jupiter. And then lastly, you will have Saturn. Okay. And then when you look at the moon, and when the moon rules the night, the other 12 hours of the day, you look at the closest person to the moon to help her rule, and that is Mercury again. Because Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. And then we will look at Venus again. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Then you will look at Mars again. Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. And then you will look at Jupiter. Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. And lastly, you will look at Saturn, rules Capricorn and Aquarius. So automatically we start to see that we have the solar constellations and the lunar constellations. And they fluctuate between masculine and feminine. Masculine, feminine. Masculine, feminine. Feminine, masculine. Feminine, masculine. Feminine, masculine. Okay, so this is the principle and lesson about balancing the perspective of the masculine and feminine for each sign in the solar constellation, and vice versa, balancing the masculine and feminine in the lunar constellations. So when you're observing a natal chart or even your personal chart, You want to look at how the solar constellations are being played out in your chart and how to balance them, and if you have a masculine or feminine solar constellation ruling, or if you have a feminine or masculine lunar constellation ruling. Okay, so when we look at the 12 tribes of Israel, these are the 12 tribes that rule the different constellations from a masculine and feminine perspective, from a lunar constellation or a solar constellation. And this is how we actually are looking at ancient astrology, how they would have looked, how the ancients, our ancestors, would have viewed astrology, and how astrology actually plays out and is the actual hand of God or Allah or the Creator. Okay, so we're going to get more into these signs and more into these constellations from a biblical perspective, bringing the scriptures to light to see what the actual scriptures are saying about each sign and how they actually portray certain characteristics. So look forward to seeing the next video. Peace and love.